Let's talk about Ukraine's surprise incursion into Russian territory this week. It is the first invasion of Russia since 1941, so something that I thought deserved a little bit more time this evening than when we first heard the news, because it seemed to take Moscow by surprise, but also even Kyiv supporters in Washington by surprise as well. President Zelensky has sent over an estimated 6,000 to 10,000 troops to Kursk. Well, Kateryna Malofieieva joins me now, our correspondent in Kyiv. And Kateryna, some breaking news. You say you've just had some explosions there in Kyiv.
Yeah, the air raid alerts went off approximately 15 minutes ago, no, actually 20 minutes ago, and I've heard the explosions. There are already reports that there was an explosion or in Borispil. This is in Brovary, I'm sorry, this is an adjacent town close to Kiev, because I live on the left bank, and I heard the explosions, and I heard the work of the air air defense. So yeah, but it's still quite dangerous. But this is our reality. I'm really
How
I'm
regularly,
watching
actually,
now.
Kateryna,
Yeah,
is it your reality? I mean, how often nowadays in Kyiv do you hear an explosion like that?
um, actually, I would say that once or twice a week, and I'm a little bit afraid that the situation in Kursk will lead to more some sort of escalation and
Mm.
explosions, because this is a way how Russia can retaliate of this surprise incursion of Ukraine into Russia's territory.
Indeed. And of course, I mean, that will have been baked into the decision, won't it? President Zelensky knew that by sending troops there, it would provoke an escalation. Do you think it was the right decision?
Well, I cannot judge as a journalist. I cannot give the assessment to the deeds
Okay. Well,
of
do your
of the
fellow
troops,
Ukrainians
but
think that it's the right decision? I mean, is there a lot of support in Kyiv for what's happened?
there is a lot of support among the Ukrainian military, definitely, because the situation in Donetsk region was quite intense, and I myself come from Donetsk region. I understand how people were suffering for the past 10 years living on the front line, and more and more. I saw today the videos of Chasiv Yar that is almost flattened to earth with Russian guided missiles, so guided aerial bombs. And for me, it's really painful to watch all this. So I understand that the explosions that I heard, 20 minutes ago, then I watched the video in Kursk, the reaction of the Russians on the explosion in Kursk, because it also happened there in the past hour. And I understand that they finally can feel what Ukrainians feel for the past 2.5 years.
Mm. But it's risky, isn't it, from Ukraine's perspective, because of the risk to troops and the risk to equipment?
It is risky, but we've seen the convoys of Western vehicles going towards Kursk and the Belgorod region. Some of these vehicles took part already in the, or were tested in Zaporizhia counteroffensive in the south, counteroffensive last year.
Sorry, Kateryna, we just
And
lost you for a second there when you were speaking. Say that again.
it is risky.
The line's going a
Course,
bit blotchy, isn't it? Go on, we'll persist another minute because I'm curious to hear what you want to say about this. Okay, we're going to try and call you back, Kateryna. The producer's just getting you on a different line now, because I wanted to put to her that it is, as I was saying there, risky from President Zelensky's perspective because of the risk to troops from Ukraine and also to their equipment. But there's another facet to this, it strikes me, which hopefully I'll be able to put to Kateryna in a second, which is that people will begin to see Ukraine no longer as just defensive but offensive. They have made an incursion into Russia until now, for years now. they've been defending Russia's incursion into Ukraine. And I do wonder morally whether some people feel, therefore, that at that point he kind of loses the upper hand in the way they see this war progressing. Let me read you what it says actually on the front of the papers tomorrow regarding this. Let's see. It was on the front of the Sunday Times. Here we are. Ukraine controls this town now. Kyiv cheers troops' invasion of Russia. This is our story on the front of the Sunday Times in the morning from Tom Ball in Kyiv, where we were just hearing from the correspondent we were just speaking to there, Kateryna Malofieieva, that there have been explosions this evening. On Friday night, a video began circulating on social media that had drinkers at the Drunken Cherry in Kyiv reaching for their phones. Small cheers went up around the bar as Ukrainians watched confirmation that for the first time in the 10 years since Russia brought war to their land, they'd captured a piece of Russian soil. Kateryna's back on the line now, I understand. Kateryna, that feeling that this goes back 10 years, that is something perhaps that some people in Western Europe forget.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I think that there was a disruption with line because of the explosions. I read that there were some sort of power cuts in Kyiv. Indeed, yeah, you were talking about that this is a risky move from the Ukraine's perspective, right?
Well, yes. And is there a danger that, you know, until now, Ukraine has had so much goodwill from other countries because they're defending, but if they start offending, that might start changing some people's minds?
Few days back, the Western spokespeople from some Western countries, Western allies countries, said that that Ukraine has its right to defend itself, and they have no any objective regarding the use of this Western weapon the way Ukraine wants to use it. So we've already seen some sort of kind of unspoken permission to use this weapon, you know, for Ukraine's defense. And this is the way how Ukraine sees its defense, right? Because Ukraine has been losing the war, especially in the past few months. More and more territory, in particular in the Donetsk region, were taken by the Russians. And this moves in Kursk region, this advance and breakthrough, plays quite a significant role for the morale of the Ukrainian troops. I spoke to the commander this morning, who is in control of the Chasiv Yar and Toretsk towns. He told me that Russia redeployed at least two brigades to Kursk, so it will lift the pressure in the Donetsk region for the Ukrainian troops. So the secretiveness of this operation, the surprise of this operation, sort of played for Ukraine. At the moment, I understand that it's already a little bit slowed down, this incursion to Russian Federation, but Ukraine has all the efforts and everything to move forward.
What about from Putin's perspective? Because this shock that you described earlier, that this had on people in Kursk, obviously, who are at the end of this, but also just generally on the Russian people who weren't expecting to be invaded and haven't been invaded since 1941. How do you think the Kremlin will manage that in those same propaganda terms?
Oh, that's a good question. I follow the Russian social networks where the different military, different military bloggers complain that the border hasn't been strengthened. There were no fortification built up, and they were complaining on the state of the Russian defense line. You know, it's also it's indeed shows the weakness of the. I mean, I guess the Russian leader simply lost it, you know, because he was so disillusioned with the game that he kind of lost guard about that this might happen on his own territory.
Yeah. Kateryna Malofieieva, our correspondent in Kyiv, stay safe, and thank you very much for taking the time to join us this evening, talking there about the Ukrainian incursion into Russia.